Welcome to the Connect Your Health to Life coaching podcast. I'm your host, Seth Lusk. I'm a master certified life coach and published author with a decade-long background working in the health, wellness, and fitness industry as a personal trainer, nutrition specialist, and life coach. If you're anything like me or the clients that I work with, then you might be struggling with some confidence issues or struggling with feeling like you're not living your most fulfilling or authentic life. You may be trying to figure out why you have these amazing desires for what your most fulfilling life would look like, but you can't seem to create consistent action in your life to reflect those desires. So join me as we dive in deep on what it means to truly live a fulfilled and authentic life from the inside out. We're going to look from the perspective of an empowered mindset and uncover some of the reasons why you might be what's holding yourself back from living that most fulfilling life. But don't worry, this isn't about blame, guilt, or shame. This is about empowering you to see. I'm going to break through some of the biggest illusions and myths that we've all been taught to believe along the way. And I'm so excited to have you with me on this journey. So my only question for you is, are you ready to start living your most fulfilling life once and for all? Then let's get started, shall we? Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. For those of you listening in for the first time, welcome. You picked an interesting episode to listen in on for your first time, and for those of you who have been with me since the beginning, it's going to be interesting for you too, even though this is your 67th time, I believe. Today is the 67th episode. We're really getting up there in numbers, guys. That's super exciting. And the topic today is super exciting for me to talk about. If you don't follow me on social media, you don't already have a clue as to what we're talking about today, other than the title of the podcast episode. And for a lot of you who do follow me on social media, thank you for listening in. I know that this is not a topic that's comfortable for people to listen in on, which is interesting because the title of the podcast is entitled Discomfort. So I get that this is not a comfortable topic to look at, and that's why we're looking at it. And I think it's so important for us to look at, because this is not about me creating shame or guilt for any particular group of people or type of people. I'm here to talk to humanity as a whole, anyone listening in, because this entitlement to comfort is not something that is exclusive to certain groups of people or certain wealth classes or certain social classes. It's not about that. It is about empowerment and us becoming aware of how our views of life are creating for us this sense of entitlement to comfort in our lives, and how we are destroying ourselves and our relationship with ourselves and our relationship to have power in our own lives by this belief in entitlement to comfort. And I know many of you believe you don't feel entitled to comfort, and that this is something that only rich, famous, or wealthy people struggle with. So I want you to listen in today, because I want you to begin to understand the subtle ways in which this shows up. As far as like consciously, it appears very subtle, but on a subconscious level, this is a massive and powerful belief system that you are creating your life from, and it is hurting you in so many different ways. And not just you. We're hurting our planet because of this. And I think it's so important for us to stop avoiding the discomfort of discussing this, and for people to start stepping up and talking about this. And I, for one, want to be one of the people stepping up and talking about this. And I'm going to be quoting someone here today quite frequently throughout this podcast episode, because as I was doing my research, I thought of her and her work, and she's got a lot of stuff to say about this topic. But starting off, you guys know I love starting my episodes with a definition. So the word entitlement, it means the belief that someone is inherently deserving of or has a right to something or to have something. So that is entitlement, the belief that someone is inherently deserving of something or has the right to it. Okay? So I want to start off by saying this. I get it, guys. I get it. Of course, the idea that experiencing comfort all of the time, it appears on the surface to be this beneficial or good thing. And with how we're taught to look at the world, how our society and culture constantly offers us ways to avoid or escape something feeling hard or difficult or uncomfortable, who would want to experience discomfort? I mean, right? This is what we're being showed and told over and over again on TV, social media, like who wants to experience discomfort? And it comes in some of the sneakiest ways. So I get it, my friends. I get this idea that somehow a life of comfort is what you think that you want. It's what you believe that you want. And that's why you're following this belief, this entitlement to comfort. And you might not even realize that you've created this belief for yourself and that therefore you're acting in it. So I get it, that it's something that not a lot of people think that they want, to experience discomfort. And this is where I both understand, but I've also chosen to take a different path and question my beliefs in this area. I chose to take a look at this within myself for quite some years now. And I've taken a look at this also within my clients and their lives for some years now as well. And there's so much there. There's so much there. There's a wealth of experience and awareness and true human love and compassion in my life and in the lives of my clients when we start to truly look at this area of their life, this entitlement to comfort, and this idea that stepping into discomfort and choosing our discomfort is so important for us. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a wonderful woman in the world of self-development and in spiritual growth. And her name is Marianne Williamson. And she has a lot to say about the idea of discomfort and comfort and the issues that our world is facing today because of what she calls our inappropriate levels of comfort that are available to us in the modern world. So I'm going to be quoting her quite often throughout this podcast episode because what she has to say is so powerful. And I was going back through her work as I was preparing for this podcast episode, and I drew a lot of inspiration from her work of how I wanted to approach this topic with you all because, guys, it's also uncomfortable for me to talk about, okay? So I want you to understand, like, I am acting in my courage right now to get on this microphone and put this episode out there, knowing that a lot of people are not going to like what I have to say here, and that feels very uncomfortable for me. But channeling Marianne Williamson, I am choosing to step into my discomfort here. And I'm choosing not to diminish and make myself smaller so that other people feel more comfortable around me because I want to speak the truth here. I want to speak out the truth, and I want for the people that are meant to hear it, and I'm not going to play small to try and avoid the discomfort of talking about this here. So I'm going to be quoting her throughout this episode because I drew a lot of inspiration from her about how I wanted to present this very uncomfortable topic for me to present. I'm going to start off with one quote from her here. And I want you to pay attention. This is such a powerful quote. She says, "Our contemporary popular culture itself is a numbing agent, making us inappropriately comfortable." I want you to think about that right there. We live in a world that is constantly trying to, quote-unquote, solve our, quote-unquote, problems. And most of those problems are emotional discomfort, our impatience with things, our emotional discomfort of learning new things and trying new things that are not easy for us or that are difficult for us because we haven't done them before. We live in a world that is constantly trying to solve those problems with newer, faster, and easier ways to get things done. Think of things like, I'm sure you've heard stuff like this on commercials. So think of this. Tired of having to scrape ice off of your windshield of your car that can get you from point A to point B 100 times faster than people could 200 years ago? Well, no problem. We know you shouldn't have to waste 5 minutes of your time scraping off ice from your windshield and possibly get cold. That would be uncomfortable. So try our new insert whatever device right there. It sounds absurd, but this is literally like, they don't say that exactly, but this is subconsciously the message you are receiving. You shouldn't have to, oh my God, being cold outside for 5 seconds or 5 minutes while you scrape your, no, you shouldn't have to experience that. That's uncomfortable. So just take our new device here and you won't have to be uncomfortable for those 5 minutes. Or think of things like, tired of spending hours of your time actually cooking your food? Well, that's so uncomfortable and that takes up your time. So instead, try to make your cooking experience quick and easy with using our, I don't know, whatever device that chops up all the food and processes it for you and packages it and puts it out and it plops it onto a plate. I mean, the list goes on and on here. Or tired of having to tie your shoes? Well, try our new elastic laces. We know how uncomfortable and a pain it is to have to spend 30 seconds of your time tying your shoes. You shouldn't have to do that. Our laces keep you from having to do that with a simple solution. I mean, seriously, guys, I could go on and on about the number of devices and contraptions and substances that I can find and hear about on television and on the radio, trying to make our life easier and more comfortable for us. We live in a world, we live in a society that is obsessed with simple solutions and quick fixes to ease and make our life more comfortable. And I'm not saying that it is entirely a bad thing that we have these solutions, but it has created a mentality, a belief within us that is becoming very destructive. We are so busy trying to quote unquote save time on everything and make it easy. But here's what's crazy. We're not getting anything that we truly want done in the time that we save. In the time that we save, we just look for another device, another contraption to distract us. We pull out you want a distraction, just reach in your back pocket, pull out your cell phone. You'll be there for hours scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through LinkedIn, scrolling through your favorite news channel feed, scrolling through Google, whatever you scroll through, Pinterest. I mean, the list could go on and on of the sites and the things that you can that are just there for you to slightly scroll through and get another dopamine hit and distract yourself. So you're busy saving your time, and then what are you using that save time for? Nothing. Nothing that creates the life you truly want to be living. And I know you think the life you truly want to be living is that comfortable, easy life, but it's not. And I'm going to show you here today why it's not the life you want. But I think it's so crazy to look at the fact that we are so obsessed with finding things to make things easier for us and save our time and make it more comfortable. But then in our time that we save, we're not willing to step into learning something new, doing something new and different with our life. No, we just look for another gadget to make whatever that new process would be that we would want to step into with that time save, make that easy and comfortable for us too. And so we get stuck in this perpetual stagnation and living these inauthentic, reactive, comfortable, quote unquote, lives where we're stuck in emotional childhood and emotional irresponsibility. And what's crazy is the life is not even comfortable. If you truly take the time to stop numbing yourself with all of this stuff and look at what you're trying to numb yourself from, it's because your life is not comfortable. You think that you're making it more comfortable, but actually what you're doing is resisting your true experience and lying to yourself about it to avoid quote unquote discomfort, but you're already uncomfortable. You're not avoiding it. And this is a huge problem, my friends. We are all doing it. I've done it for so many years of my life with drinking, with sex, with drugs. I mean, with anything I could get my hands on to distract myself. I am the king of being able to sit in front of my telephone for 5, 6, 7 hours and scroll through nothing but a bunch of BS. And then come out on the other side of it and be like, well, that was nice. Oh, wait, I'm still uncomfortable. Hand me the cake, hand me the alcohol, hand me the whatever. You know, I'm speaking to you all from a space of knowing exactly what this feels like because I go through it as well. But here's the thing, most of us don't even realize it. Because the cues to do this in life and how socially acceptable it's become, they're everywhere. So that's why I wanted to make this episode today, because I want to draw attention to it. I want you all to begin to see that you're doing this in your life and what it's actually creating in your life and in you. This topic of constantly seeking comfort to the point where we feel entitled to it and seeking to always avoid discomfort, this ties back to several themes that I've talked about in the past. One of which I spoke about recently when it comes to emotional pain. Just a few weeks ago, I did a 3-part series on emotional pain. And I told you in that 3-part series all about the importance of not resisting emotional pain, or trying to avoid it or delay it, or how even when we believe that we're doing those things, that we're actually not delaying or avoiding it anyways. So I'm hoping by now that you at least grasp this. Grasp the concept that pain, my friends, is part of the deal of being a human. If you are still not wanting to grasp this, then I'm hoping that maybe the episode today encourages you to want to do so. And here's the thing. I think that many of us do grasp this idea or concept on a theoretical level, on a thought level. I know that we know the idea in our minds, but we don't choose to put into practice what I talked about a lot last week, which is to actively believe in it. So while many people know in their head, they have the thought of this idea that being in constant comfort is kind of absurd or ridiculous, or it's not possible, what we actually do is we act on and therefore believe in the fact that it would be possible. It's crazy. We do this to ourselves. We know conceptually that being in constant, bliss and comfort is absurd and ridiculous, but yet we act in a way that enforces the belief that we believe that it's not absurd and that it is possible and that it's actually the goal of life. And we keep actively acting and believing in this way to the point that we have become this culture that feels entitled to this constant comfort. I want you to think about this. Here's a way that makes this abundantly clear, and I find it so ironic. When it comes to drugs, let's say like heroin or cocaine or ecstasy, MDMA, we all know that staying high on these drugs disconnects us from life. And I can vouch for that on a first person level. I've never tried heroin, but I've done some drugs in my life, and I know what it feels like to be high. And I know the appeal of feeling like I'm escaping my discomfort by abusing drugs. And we all know that on this theoretical level, those of you who haven't tried drugs, those of you who have, we all know that staying high on these drugs disconnects us from life and from the true experience of life. That's actually why people are doing it, because they believe that they can't handle their true experience of life, so they take the drugs to try and escape it, to distract themselves from it. And most of us can see that this can be destructive and not what life is about. And we can see that we don't want to constantly do this. So many people that I see that are quote unquote addicted to these drugs, they know that they want a way out, but they feel like it's not possible. They're like, no, I'm looking at the world and I don't want to experience that. I can't handle that. And so no, this is just easier for me. So they believe that there's no way out for them. And that's why they do it. While at the same time, they can see that it's destroying their lives. It's destroying their body. And some people choose to keep doing that. But here's the thing, we're doing it for the same reason that most of us out here, even the ones that haven't tried these illegal drugs, we're doing it for the same reason that most of us are doing the same thing with television, or alcohol, or shopping, or food, or social media. We see when it comes to these drugs that it's not a way to live life because it disconnects us from the true life experience. But when it comes to other comforts, what we'll call maybe more low-key comforts that are more socially acceptable and legal, we're doing the same thing that people who choose to use drugs are doing. It's the same damn thing, my friends. I need you to see that. That is so important to see. I know you all want to believe, oh no, that's an addict problem. My friends, we are all addicts. We are all addicts. Just because you're addicted to something that's more socially acceptable than someone who's addicted to heroin doesn't make you less of an addict. So let's stop talking about the word addict like it's something that happens to those people over there, and let's open our eyes up to the fact that we are addicted to comfort as a whole. That is a human problem, not an addict problem. We are, if you want to say it's an addict problem, fine, that's an addict problem. But guess what? You're an addict, I'm an addict, we're all addicts. Stop lying to yourself about that, my friends, okay? We are all addicted to this idea of constant comfort. And people that are addicted to drugs, that's their choice of their way to seek that constant comfort. And yes, it is illegal, and you can have your judgments about that if you want, but they are doing the same thing that you're doing with the legal version of it that you're doing. I also see we choose these lives of mediocrity and stagnation or complacency and apathy. And then we think that this is somehow this noble or realistic choice for life. Quote unquote realistic. We all say that. Oh, I'm just being realistic. But here's the thing. We are really doing the same thing that people who are addicted to drugs are doing. We are doing the same thing. We're trying to numb and ignore our true human experience of wanting to grow and evolve and deepen our understanding of our true selves, finding our true selves and our true identity by pushing ourselves into our discomfort, feeling that true experience of it, processing it all the way through, And in doing so, deepening our connection with our true selves and therefore with the humanity around us, opening our love and our compassion up as we're able to understand the pain of being a human is real for everybody. And just because you found ways to try and numb it for yourselves and lie to yourselves about it doesn't mean it's not true for you too, but it is disconnecting you from that experience and therefore your ability to connect with other people about their pain as well. You're not doing a service to the world by living a small life. You're not doing a service to the world by being complacent in your life and saying, I'm just being realistic. What you are doing is trying to numb and ignore your true human experience and your true human desire to grow, evolve, and serve humanity by being your true self and self-actualizing. My friends, trying to play it small is not selfless, that is selfish, okay? I need you to get that idea out of your head that going after your true human experience and going after those true dreams of growing and evolving and becoming the best version of you, that is not selfish. That is the most selfless thing that you can do for humanity. We think that playing it small is some kind of enlightened service to mankind, that we are somehow not being greedy or something. Marianne Williamson says something really powerful about this, though, and I want to quote her here. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine like children do. That is, oh my God, guys, that is so powerful. And I want to add to that, and challenge like children do. Shine and challenge like children do. I want you to think about that. Children come into this world full of questions, full of curiosity, full of love and compassion and openness. And we feel intimidated by where their questions might possibly lead in seeing our truth. And so we train them to fear. We train them to stop asking. We train them to stop challenging because it makes it uncomfortable for others. We train them to believe that we should play small so that others feel more comfortable around us. How many of you all grew up with the same idea being taught to you? I know I did. And I know that I see it being taught to so many kids still today. And do you know what? Do you know what this leads to? We keep playing it out today as adults when we don't speak our truth, when we don't actualize our goals and our dreams. And I'm not talking about the goal to have, quote unquote, more things for more comfort and pleasure. That's not what I'm talking about here. I know that some people out there, when they talk, about going after their goals, it's like, oh, I want the yacht, I want the $1 million. You might end up with those things. But the fact of the matter is, if you let go of your attachment, your entitlement to comfort, and let your true desires, your true goals come in, you would know that who you are on the deepest level desires to serve and grow and heal humanity. Those are the true desires I'm talking about. Those are the dreams I'm talking about going after. That dream of growing your service to help humanity, to help heal humanity, that you keep stifling and trying to play small because it might make people uncomfortable. That's the goal and the dream I'm talking about here. I'm talking about true goals and dreams of growing and expanding and challenging what we have been told to believe is possible. I'm talking about goals and dreams that serve to help heal humanity as a whole. Those dreams. How is it that you truly dream to contribute? And why are you so busy convincing yourself not to go after that? My friend, it's because you have been taught and programmed and believed in the idea of feeling entitled to comfort. And I know, I said it earlier, so many of you associate entitled, the word entitled, with being something that people who have it all struggle with. Or that people that never struggle with life have entitlement. But my friends, all humans struggle. All humans do. So if that was the case, then no one would feel entitled. Entitled is the belief that we are inherently deserving of and owed something, that we have a right to it, that the world owes us something. And while I think that you picture this stuck-up brat stomping their feet, or some rich person who always gets what they want right now, I know that's what you think of when you think of entitled. I want us to look at what entitled looks like for us as a whole, as all of humanity. Not just something that the rich and the famous people of the world have to deal with. I want us to look at the entitlement that we believe in that has sort of just been flying under the radar for most of us. that we don't even recognize it as entitlement. This entitlement becomes a little bit more obvious for us to see when we take a look at how we act when life is not comfortable for us. We act in a way that cultivates and supports this belief that comfort should be experienced at all times. We speak and behave in ways when we experience times in our life where it's not very comfortable, as if something has gone wrong in our life and that it shouldn't be happening. And we try and hurry through it, or we try and hurry people through it that are close to us if they're uncomfortable. And my friends, here's what I want you to notice. If being uncomfortable means that something has gone wrong, then guess what you believe? That you should always be comfortable, and that this is the goal of having a good life. And that, my friends, is entitlement to comfort. Marianne Williamson has something else very powerful to say here. She says, the knee-jerk pathologizing of emotional pain is a dysfunctional reaction to the experience of being a human. The knee-jerk pathologizing of emotional pain is a dysfunctional reaction to the experience of being a human. My friends, this is so powerful. What this means is that we, either self or through a doctor or therapist, diagnose our emotional pain as being something bad or wrong. We pathologize it. Whether it's ours or if it's someone else's that we are trying to escape or trying to get them to escape as fast as possible. We eat to numb it away or drink to numb it away. We shop to numb it away. We television to numb it away. We social media to numb it away. We self-medicate with so many different things to escape the diagnosis of bad emotional pain. And my friends, the list of ways to self-medicate grows more and more and more every second that we're alive. The world is just constantly throwing out ways to do this. And then now, bonus, on top of the ways to self-medicate, we can just go to a doctor or therapist and receive more confirmation that our emotional pain is something bad or wrong. When we tell our doctor or therapist about it, and they immediately prescribe us this pill to alter the experience of the emotional experience, of the emotional pain. And they'll say something, oh no, that's bad. You shouldn't be dealing with that. Here's this pill and it's gonna take it away so you don't have to feel it. So we self-medicate or we medicate to quote unquote get rid of the emotional experience without understanding it. And therefore, we do not change anything about how we are showing up in the world. And therefore, we keep recreating the same emotional pain over and over and over again. But we're numbing ourselves to it. Don't worry about that. But remember what I said about numbing. Numbing is not the absence of pain. It is not. The pain is still there. It's just numbing of pain is literally the overwhelm of pain and then therefore not experiencing it, not allowing it, resisting it. Not allowing yourself to experience the truth of it. But it's still there. And the longer we do this, the more medication or self-medication we need to accomplish the goal. Because the emotional experience was happening for a reason, to show you something. And you instead chose to numb out of it and never understand what it was there to show you. Marianne Williamson also has something really powerful to say here. She says, nothing can be more functional than an internal warning system among people. And nothing can be more dysfunctional than to ignore the warning or to take the edge off. And my friends, how often are you trying to ignore the internal warning of your own emotional experience or take the edge off of it with self-medicating or medicating? With TV, with social media, with shopping, with vacations. That's another huge one that I see people using to self-medicate with. These are self-medications. How often do you use these things as a way to escape your true emotional experience? Ask yourself that. Going on vacations to get away from your quote-unquote miserable life. Taking pills to quote-unquote cope with or deal with your miserable life. Buying new clothes to feel better about your miserable life. These things are literally you practicing and strengthening your ability to ignore your internal warning system and ignore your true self and ignore the life that you are designed to live. All the while, these are you practicing to strengthen your ability to deal with and cope with a life that you are not designed to live and that you don't like living. And then I hear so many of you wondering why it is that you don't know how to create the life you want. Well, it's because, my friends, you are practicing the exact opposite. You are practicing and strengthening the skills that do the exact opposite of that. And I want to make a disclaimer here because I know I brought up medication. And I know some of you might have winced or gotten pissed off, so I want to say something here about that. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again here if you haven't heard me say this before. I think medication can be a great tool to return someone to a safe baseline in which they can be present and do their internal work. But eventually, the medication is going to get in the way of that true emotional experience, and therefore in the way of that internal work. The medication is a tool in your internal journey to growth and self-actualization. But what I see many of us doing is using it as a solution to emotional pain, to the diagnosis of quote-unquote bad emotional pain, to the pathologizing of their emotional pain. Because again, they are believing that emotional pain is wrong and that they are entitled to not have to quote-unquote feel it. That they are entitled to comfort instead. And they use the medication as a way to just constantly self-reject and numb their way through their life. So I'm not saying to never take medication. I don't want you to think that. I've taken medication in my life. I've taken medication for ADHD. I've taken medication for anxiety. I've taken medication for depression. I currently take none of those. But I want you to recognize that medication is not the solution. It is a tool. How many of you are using it as your solution? Because you're not willing to do the inner work to look at how you are contributing to that emotional experience and how you can show up differently to create the life you want to be living. And instead, what you're doing is medicating yourself to numbness so that you never actualize that version of yourself. The solution is in you. And maybe the medication helps you return to a state where you are willing to dive in and start seeing that solution inside of you. But if you're using it as the solution, if you're using it to numb out, then what you're doing is just creating disconnection and suffering in your life with it. Marianne Williamson has another powerful quote to address this. The world will offer you countless ways to numb your pain and thus deepen your despair. My friends, trying to numb our pain always has a consequence on the other side. Because the pain is a true part of your experience. It is there to show you something, and ignoring it has a price. And that price is self-rejection, disconnection, and suffering. She goes on to say this: when we refuse to take back our responsibility for our experience, we pay the high price of not being able to change it. And I'm so glad that she uses the word experience there, because so many of you are so busy out there trying to change circumstances, thinking that's going to make you happier. My friends, circumstances are not going to make you happier because circumstances are always temporary. How you choose to experience any circumstance, that is permanent. That is the true change. And when we do not take back our responsibility for our experience, we pay the price of never being able to change it. I effing love this quote. She could not have nailed these words any better. I love it. My friends, we pay a high price for not being able to change our experience of our own lives when we constantly blame and give up our responsibility to other people and circumstances. I have been saying this to you all over and over and over, and I'm hoping it's getting through. You cannot just change things externally. You first go internally and you look at how you're creating the current results in your life and why. Take your responsibility back. And I know you guys cower away from that word responsibility because you think it's about guilt and shame, and it's not. Responsibility is about your ability to respond. It's about what you're going to do from here on. It's not about what you've already done. What you've already done, you've done. You can see how it's brought you here. Congratulations. You now know your starting point and what you did to get you here. Now where do you want to go? Responsibility is taking your power back to create that possibility. You can do differently and therefore create differently. That is what responsibility is about. And when you refuse to take this route and get stuck in this constant hurry up and change circumstances so you can hurry up and quote unquote feel better, what you do is you give your power to something else. And you never learn your authentic how to change anything in your experience of life. How often do you give your power to your kids, to your relatives, to your spouse, to to your work, to your co-workers, to your friends, to your significant other if you're not married? How often do you give them your power for why you feel how you feel in your life? When you do that, guess what? You have no power to change anything. Because everyone around you has the power. But guess what else? Everyone around you is a sovereign being and capable of making their own choices. So if you give them the power and you go about trying to change them to make yourself feel better, guess what? You can never control that. You can never control them. Trust me, you can try. I tried for years. I really did. And I've seen so many other people who have tried. So many other people. Look at any famous person out there that is telling you all about self-help, self-development, self-growth, and they will tell you they tried this too, and it never worked. I don't know why you want to keep believing that somehow you're going to be the special one that's going to make it work where you're going to control other people. You can't. They are sovereign beings. Even if you could control them, why would you want to? They are sovereign beings. Give them their sovereignty and their power back, and you take yours. They are not going to make you feel better. Your thoughts about what they are doing is going to make you feel better. You have the power, not them. How often do you give your power to those circumstances and those people? And when you do this, what do? You choose behaviors to compensate for the fact that you can't control other people. You can't always make them do everything that you want to do, how you want them to do it, and make you feel the things that you want to feel. So you compensate with behaviors to try and numb the discomfort that you're out of control in your life. And that you're not taking responsibility, and therefore don't understand, and therefore cannot change. And you can't even accept why it is that you're not changing because you're not taking your power back. So you keep practicing getting better and better at living in this life that you actually hate. And in the process, constantly rejecting yourself and then lying to yourself about it, creating so much suffering for yourself. This is what you're doing, my friends. After saying all of that, you might think, okay, so this entitlement to comfort, it must come from this evil, twisted, broken place in certain people. You might believe that there's something wrong with you or wrong with the people that do this. But I want to look at this here. Where does this idea come from? Where does this behavior come from? Where does this belief come from? My friends, it's not because humans are selfish or broken, or self-absorbed, or even evil creatures. No, that's not it. You have to remember that we have a brain, and that brain is a tool, but most of us are letting that tool use us as a tool. And our brains are biologically designed to drive us to seek comfort at all costs because our brain is a biological organ. Its only job is to keep us alive. It does not give one single crap about your success in life. It is your tool. If you want to create success in life, because by the way, you are separate from your brain. I need you to recognize that. I know a lot of us think we are our brain. We are not our brain. But if you want success in life, you have to start using your brain as a tool instead of it using you. But your brain is biologically designed to seek comfort at all costs because its only job is to keep you alive. And for thousands of years, avoiding discomfort is what kept us alive. I've talked about this so many times with you guys. I almost get sick of saying it. But it's true. Our brains run these programs in the background of something is wrong, seek comfort at all costs. And the intensity of this drive within our brains to seek that comfort at all costs, it often gets interpreted by us as meaning that discomfort should not be happening and therefore must be avoided. Because we forget the brain is a tool. The brain is a tool. Yes, of course it's going to tell you to seek comfort at all costs. Your brain still believes that, there's not enough food in the world and that if you don't eat just constantly, you're going to die. Every time you come across food, you should eat it because you don't know when you're going to have it again. You might die. Your brain reacts with the same intensity because it has not biologically evolved further past that yet. And we're not going to get it to evolve further past that until we start teaching our brain it is a tool for us, and we no longer have to worry about things like that. We no longer have to worry about things. We've gotten the survival part down. Now we're at the point in human evolution where it's about thriving, and we can't thrive without our planet thriving. And the more we keep staying stuck in this entitlement to comfort, we are not thriving, and our planet is definitely not thriving. We are stripping it of everything and destroying it more and more rapidly every year. But this biological drive within our brain That is why we constantly feel this need to fight, to be the one receiving comfort at all times, even if it comes at the cost of other people feeling the same, even if it comes at the cost of destroying our planet, even if it comes with us having to constantly compete for comfort. We see it all the time on TV shows, especially since the invention of reality TV series. Not only do we have the shows that, show these extravagant lives, but we also have these reality TV series where we're watching people, the elite 1% rich and famous of the world, living these lavish and luxurious lifestyles of excess and parading it around on TV as if somehow their life is just perfect and always wonderful and happy, and that we should all want our lives to be like theirs because they're doing better than us and they're happier than us, and it's because they're more comfortable than us. And if they're not, all they have to do is just click a button or wave a hand or make a phone call, and the comfort arrives for them. And this has led so many of us to believe in this idea that constant comfort is the goal. We just need that life and then we'll be happy. But my friends, here's the thing. Those people are no happier in their life than you are. Everyone's life is 50-50. The people that are successful in life choose their 50% suck to be what creates the life that they want to be living. But having things and being rich and constantly seeking comfort, this doesn't make you happy. If anything, it is a lot of work. It is exhausting trying to make temporary things permanent in your life. And to constantly be trying to indulge in excess pleasure and comfort to avoid your true emotional experience. That is not happy. That is exhausting. And on top of that, here's the thing. We're watching all of this and believing these things that, I need more comfort in my life like them. Look at how happy they are on television because they have more comforts than me. And we have all these little hits of low-key comfort available to us at all times. All you have to do is pull your phone out of your back pocket. We can't afford the yacht or the mansion yet, or the maids or the limos or the fancy exotic sports cars. We can't afford the plastic surgery. We can't afford brand new designer clothes every day, or the 5-star month-long exotic vacation several times a year, or the imported $500 bottles of wine with dinner every night. But we see these people on TV and social media presenting us with these things and never letting us truly see what is going on, their true emotional experience of life, because they're so busy numbing it away with constant comfort. So we get this filtered version of their life where it just looks like effortless and comfortable and fun all of the time. And we get this idea that we deserve that in life too, because that's what's going to make us happy. That's what's going to make us feel fulfilled. And so we start distracting ourselves with the comforts that we have in the life around us, with our phones, with social media, with television, with going out to dinners, with drinking the wine that we can't afford, with buying clothes whenever we get paid, and trying to take the most expensive trips that we can whenever we can, spending money on apps and on our phones to distract us, and new decorations for our house and new clothes to pose in on the Instagram and TikTok posts, and thereby ensuring that we will truly never have the money to be living the life that we see filtered to us into the television that we envy. But we compare our lives to those lives and constantly feel like somehow we are being cheated since we're not always comfortable as they are. It is a vicious trap that we are all stuck in, my friends. And so many of you all don't see it. But it doesn't stop here. With social media and apps on our phones, the little dings and the notifications and the constantly available little distractions that provide us with these tiny dopamine hits throughout the day as we distract ourselves from the discomfort of doing the things most important to us that would allow us to grow and evolve our lives to the lives we want to be living in. We're stuck in those. We are addicted to comfort, my friends. We feel entitled to it. And we are all in this desperate rat race against each other, constantly trying to prove whose life is more desirable and more comfortable than others, all the while living lives that we all actually hate, with no fulfillment, full of disempowerment and emotional irresponsibility, and blaming everyone and everything around us for how we feel, and we just suffer in it without ever seeing the true source. We have completely inappropriate levels of comfort available to us in our lives for growth to ever occur, or for awareness of what we are doing in our lives to ever occur. We fill our lives with these false, concentrated pleasures so much that our brains are not designed to know how to handle this level of constant false pleasure in any sort of way that could be constructive for us. And here's the thing, we're seeing now the physical diseases of this excess from food and alcohol popping up everywhere now. And we're seeing the mental disease popping up everywhere from excess of social media, television, relying on external validation, filtering our lives on social media, filtering our faces, scrolling and clicking on videos that distract us and make us laugh and bring us some sense of quote unquote nostalgia. We are hooked on this buffered life of avoiding our true human and emotional experience. And we've become these reactive, disempowered zombies, literally, in our lives that are just like, give me comfort. That's like, we're just walking around like that. We convince ourselves that the reason we do this is because we love the things that we use in excess. We might say things like, I just can't stop consuming wine. I just love this television show. I just love a glass of wine when I come home from work. I just love chocolate cake. Oh, I just love candy. Oh, I just love bread. Oh, I just love Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. But the truth is we don't really love them. We love the idea of using them to escape our true emotional experience. We think that escaping the true emotional experience will somehow be more comfortable for us. But this is also not true. We just need more and more of the things that we're telling ourselves that we love, but that we're actually using in excess to try and escape. And these things that we are using come with more and more consequence in our life the more we use them to avoid discomfort. And this creates more discomfort for us because these things have consequences. This is what's so ironic. We're not even more comfortable when we do this. But we are so afraid of choosing discomfort, the discomfort of growth, that we would rather stay in that stagnant suffering of discomfort, of excess, trying to just buffer away discomfort, trying to just avoid our lives, trying to just avoid our true emotional experience, which gets us nowhere that we actually want to be in life. And we keep choosing this over choosing the evolving and growing in this life that we are actually designed to be doing. It's both sad and ironic at the same time. We're choosing quote unquote comfort to avoid discomfort, and in the process we're creating more suffering and discomfort for ourselves. And then on top of that, we're nowhere getting close to the life we want to be living because we're avoiding it. I know that many of you out there on a conscious level know that being in a constant state of pleasure and comfort is not the goal in life. You will say this. You will say that this is not acceptable or not the way to do life. You'll say that this is not what you're trying to do. And you think this is true. You think this. You conceptualize this idea that pain is part of the experience. You agree. You say you believe. But we talked about this last week. What does belief require of us? It requires action. We act on what we believe. So while you say one thing, you think one thing, that you don't feel like you need to be in constant comfort in your life, I want you to take an open, thorough, and genuine look at your life right now. How much time do you really spend scrolling through social media per day? TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. The news. I want you to honestly look at the exact amount of time you're spending doing those things. How much time are you spending per week sitting in front of your television? Get a timer out and actually calculate these things. I want you to pay attention to this. How many times have you tried to lose weight or eat to be healthier? And then you go right back to your old eating habits and start putting on weight again, or start, remanifesting the old symptoms that the eating healthy would have helped to alleviate. How many times have you talked about a goal or dream of yours and then thought of all of the reasons why it would not work or why it would be too hard, and then you did nothing? I want you to count those things. Take a look at your life and count them. How many times have you done this? Or over how many years have you been repeating this? This, my friends, this is what you believe right here. That's what you believe. I know you say you believe that pain is part of life, that discomfort is part of life, and that you don't want to constantly be comfortable. You say that. But what you believe is what I just pointed out right here. You can say that you do not believe that life should be this constant comfort, and that you believe that part of life is pain from growing, but your actions will tell you what you really believe. What are you doing with your time? That'll tell you if you truly believe that discomfort is part of your life and not that something is wrong. That discomfort is something you want in your life to grow. What are you doing? That will tell you. Or what are you not doing? That will tell you what you believe. If I truly believe that life is designed so that pain is just part of it, no matter what I do, pain will be part of my life. And I know that this means that I want to choose the pain that will create the life that I'm designed to be living versus experiencing the pain of avoiding that and rejecting myself over and over again. Then do you want to know what my actions will look like? What actions would I be taking? I would be stepping forward into discomfort and obstacles, welcoming the discomfort of trying new things. I won't be picking up my phone or a glass of wine or a plate of food when I'm feeling uncomfortable. And I won't get the results that I want the first 1,000 times that I step forward into these discomforts and obstacles. And I will go to sleep every night knowing that I am learning and I am growing, and I will get up the next day and I will do it again. I will fall on my face and I will do it again. Other people may quote unquote reject me, but I will never reject myself. I can't be rejected because I will never reject myself. When other people quote unquote reject you, they're telling you the ways in which they reject their true selves. It's not about you. And I will never be rejected because I will never reject myself. I will get up in the morning and I will do it again. My actions do not include activities that are about escaping my life or escaping parts of it. I will take actions to intentionally be fully present in every part of my life, even the parts that feel uncomfortable, because I want to know what is there. What am I believing and thinking that is making that feel uncomfortable for me, and why do I keep doing it? I don't avoid. I take action to change my experience of life. The parts that do not align with who I know I am on the inside, I take action to change them. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when everyone I know will put up a middle finger, turn their back on me, and walk away, even when it's that uncomfortable. So my friends, what is it that you believe? You might be saying that you believe what I'm saying, but look at your actions. That will tell you what you believe. Look at how much time you spend shoveling food in your mouth, shoveling wine into your mouth, shoveling television into your eyes, social media into your eyes, something into your ears, all to distract you from what's truly going on in your life. Shoveling vacations into your schedule, into your calendar, to distract yourself from your life. Those will tell you what you truly believe in. Because if you believed that life is about the discomfort of growing, those things would not be the actions you're taking. And this is not saying, I'll talk about this a bit more later. This is not saying we can't take vacations or own things. I'm not saying that. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But my friends, I know this is a hard sell. It's a hard sell to get you to see that you want to choose discomfort in your life and that you want to take the actions that choose it, not just say that you believe it. Take the actions that mean that you actually believe it, not just that you're thinking about it. It is hard for people to sometimes truly see where they are avoiding the discomfort of growing into their true selves. I see people avoiding this at all costs, and they are so afraid to see it. They're so afraid of being fully present in their human experience. I know this is hard. This is why we have coaches, my friends. I'm not just saying this because I want to self-promote. I'm saying this because it really works. And having a coach that knows what this is like and isn't going to try and rush you out of your pain. I know it feels scary and hard to look at how entitled we feel to comfort in our lives. I know that feels scary. It feels scary to own that we are creating the suffering in our lives that we are experiencing. And we're creating it by believing this illusion of constantly seeking pleasure to buffer away discomfort. I get it. I get the desire to just want to avoid this all. But I promise you that a life like that will not feel better for you in any way. Don't let your brain use you as a tool and convince you by lying to you that it will feel better. Constant self-rejection, constant disconnection, constant emotional irresponsibility is suffering, my friend. Pain is inevitable. Pain is inevitable no matter what. But what's ironic is we avoid pain, and in the process, or we try to avoid pain, and in the process we create suffering, which suffering is optional because it occurs as a byproduct of resisting pain. And here's the other thing I want to say here. I see so many people stepping into this growth journey. I see so many they'll say, yeah, I'm ready for this. And they step into this growth journey. And they have this expectation of what's going to happen. They stop the buffering behaviors. They stop the overeating. They stop the over drinking or over-whatevering. So many different things that people over today. I mean, like, the list could go on and on. I could literally make a podcast episode where I just start listing the things that people overdo in life to numb themselves and make it an hour long, and it would just be me listing those things, and I would still have more to list. So the list just keeps going on. And here's the thing. They stop doing those things, and they expect that all of a sudden it'll be this huge relief, the sudden surge of constant happiness in their life that will take over or take its place. But again, my friends, this is not what happens, because remember, the goal is not to constantly be comfortable. That's not what you want. What usually happens is there's this very raw and vulnerable feeling that occurs, and a lot of uncomfortable emotions surface. And so often what I see people doing when they step into this, especially if they do it without a coach, and this is why I say you want to work with a coach, is that they think that something is wrong. And that this isn't what they wanted when they set out on this journey. And I'm here to tell you this, my friends. This is exactly what you want. That uncomfortable surfacing of literally feeling like you just got backhanded in the face by uncomfortable emotions. You want that. You want that, my friends. It is part of the journey, and it is the most beautiful part. And here is why. Because you have been hiding from your life for a very long time now. You've been avoiding your true self, your true emotional experience of your life for a long time now. And when you stop numbing and buffering, you're going to get slapped across the face with that true emotional experience. And you will get the clearest picture of everything that is going on in your life, and how you are taking part in creating it and allowing it to be in your life. It won't feel good at first. It's going to feel raw and vulnerable and uncertain, and like you just want to run back into the false pleasures and the false comforts. I promise you, this is what it's going to feel like. You might even experience guilt or shame as you uncover all of this. And this is why working with a coach is so important and so effective here, because a coach is going to keep you on track and not allow you to retreat back into the false pleasures because of your guilt and shame. Because, my friends, this is not about guilt or shame. Going through this, seeing this clear picture of your life and how you've been creating it and how you are taking part and being complicit in the suffering in your life, in creating the suffering in your life. You seeing that is not about you feeling guilt or shame. It is about you recognizing that you are a powerful badass who has been experiencing and creating this powerful experience of life. You've been creating all of this. And if you are powerful enough to create that, then you are powerful enough to create the life that you are truly designed to be living. That inner calling is asking you to step up and live, but you keep squashing it down and convincing yourself that playing it small, playing it mediocre is better. It's better for humanity. Let's not step on toes. Let's not make it uncomfortable. Working with a coach during this process is going to keep you from allowing your guilt and shame to cause you to take the off-ramp on this path. Because, my friends, one of the coaches that I follow, her name is Brooke Castillo, she talks about this, and I call it the shark-infested waters. She calls it the river of misery. So if you can imagine, there's one side of the river that you're on, which is the side of creating suffering for yourself, complete emotional childhood and irresponsibility, reactivity, suffering, avoiding discomfort, just trying to constantly seek pleasure and numb yourself on one side. When you let go of all of that, you step out into this river of misery. And it is, my friends, terrifying to step into. Because all at once, you are going to get a clear picture of exactly what you're doing in your life and how you are creating it. But the moment that you see that, and you are willing to offer yourself compassion and openness and forgiveness and love for having gone through that because you see why you did everything that you did to lead you here to being able to see this now, then my friends, you step out on the other side of that river. Being the badass empowered human being that you've been this whole entire time, but has been covered up with all of the numbing agents, with all of the behaviors to buffer away the discomfort. You want that river of misery. You want to see your true experience of life so that you can have a clear picture of exactly where you are and where it is that you want to be going. And then you can step out of that on the other side so powerfully strong and ready to create the life that you're designed to live. Guilt and shame that will come up at first, and this is why I say again, working with a coach, these energies, if you are not sure, if you're not aware of what they're actually guiding you towards, they're going to halt your growth when we react to them. They're going to halt us from finding our compassion and our love and our forgiveness through them. And by journeying through this, we have so much more love and compassion to give to the rest of the world. Many times on this journey, you will feel like something is wrong. Know that is just your brain being a brain. It is your tool to use. You'll feel like you need to run back to the familiar. And again, this is why I suggest working with a coach through this process, because nothing is wrong here. You are just finally seeing your life for how it truly is. You're not numbing away the things that you've been tolerating in your life. You will now experience them and have the opportunity to process them all of the way through and see what is on the other side, where your power is, where you've been giving it away to these things that you're tolerating in your life and giving your power to. And you'll finally, on the other side, uncover more of the true you, your true identity. You will grow stronger and be able to be fully present, stronger at being able to be fully present in your true experience of life. I will promise you this, on the other side of that experience, of your true human experience, rushing back in as you empty out the spaces that you've been filling with distractions and numbing agents. On the other side of that, you will be stronger. So much more truly yourself. You will be the badass that is able to process any emotion that comes your way and grow and learn through it. You will deepen your relationship with yourself so far beyond anything you are thinking currently is possible. As you step in and through these emotions, you will deepen your relationship with other human beings as you learn how to love and offer compassion at such a deeper capacity than you ever thought was possible. You become more available to others to serve in the world. And I know some of you out there who identify as people pleasers, you think that you're serving the world by playing it small, but you're not. You're lying to yourself. And lying to yourself is not loving yourself. And my friends, if you are not able to love yourself, you are not able to truly offer love to other people, which is why we see so many people out here and we feel like we are unloved because we think, oh, nobody's able to really love me. My friends, you need to love you. Show other people how to love you. And then they're going to learn how to love themselves. And then when they're able to truly love themselves and stop lying to themselves about their truth, then they'll be able to show up in the world with love to offer other people. We don't know how to love other people until we have done that internal work. I don't care how much you think you know how to love other people if you have not learned how to love yourself. And we do this through opening ourselves up to our truth and opening ourselves up to that true human experience. We become available for the world and others to be able to love and offer compassion on this deep level that seems impossible, but it's not. You will be able to show up in your life in truthful ways that you never believed were possible. There's no more hiding, no more pretending, no more dependence on things to numb or buffer away or avoid your true experience. You will find and believe finally that you can be in your experience with peace, acceptance, and empowerment. This is what I can promise you. And this is what I know you are truly looking for in this life. I know you think that what you want are these things in life that offer temporary distraction or offer temporary quote-unquote comfort. And I'm not here to tell you that you can't buy or own anything. But here's the thing. These are temporary. These things are temporary. They're not the source of your well-being and joy in life. They are not the source of your happiness. And this journey takes you on the path where you will finally be able to see that and be able to have these things in your life for as long as they're supposed to be there. And then with peace, release them when they're no longer meant to be there. No more attachment to these things and creating suffering and trying to hold on and identifying with these things and attaching our worth to these things. We can enjoy their presence while they're there and even enjoy their presence when they leave. The way we do that, though, is to first recognize our entitlement to comfort and how that is showing up in your own life. It is seeing how this entitlement is creating so much self-rejection and putting up these uncrossable barriers for you that are keeping you playing safe and small and disempowered in your own life. We as a whole, the human species, we have this massive sense of entitlement to comfort, my friends. It's not because we're broken or evil. It is how we have evolved to survive, but surviving is no longer the question. Surviving is not where we are in our next step in evolution. Our next step is to thrive, and to do so, we need our planet to thrive as well. And the behaviors and beliefs that got us here to this addiction to comfort will not get us to thriving or our planet to thriving. We can see that clearly. The entitlement to comfort is stopping us from reaching deeper inward and finding who we really are and stepping into the world as those people and thriving. So, my friends, we want to take a long, hard look at our entitlement to comfort. We want to look at how inappropriately comfortable we are trying to be in this life. We do not have a right to comfort in this life. Do we seek it because our brain has evolved to do so, and that increases our chance to survival to our brain? Yes, of course we seek it. Is it bad to welcome comfort when it arrives on our journey? No. But when we latch onto it, when our worth becomes attached to it, when we feel entitled to it and dependent on its constant and pervasive presence in our life, that's when it becomes destructive to us. Our brains will play all sorts of tricks from the programs that it has evolved to run. They will play trick after trick after trick on you, but our brains, you have to remember, they are a tool that you get to use. I want to ask you though, how many of you are letting your brain hijack you and your lives by letting it convince you that this quest for constant, false, and inappropriate levels of comfort are your main goal in life? How often are you letting your brain convince you to distract yourself from the true journey in this life and your true experience of this life? How often are you letting your brain convince you that rejecting yourself ahead of time is somehow better than facing quote-unquote possible rejection, which again, rejection only occurs when you reject yourself. But how many times are you letting your brain convince you that rejecting yourself ahead of time is somehow better than facing the rejection of stepping up to grow and thrive and uncover your true self in the process? How often are you sitting in a stagnant and familiar discomfort and suffering to avoid the discomfort of growth? How often are you believing that lie that you are more comfortable by not stepping forward into growth? How often are you letting your brain lie to you and convince you that you can avoid pain and discomfort in this life by buffering and numbing it away, with attaching yourself to false and temporary pleasures in this life? If you find yourself doing that, guess what? You're letting your brain use you as a tool. That brain is yours. This is something that I work with my clients on regularly, is discovering their use of their brain, not their brain using them. Finding their power and being able to use their brain as a tool versus the other way around. My friends, we have one of the most powerful supercomputers between our ears on this planet. And what I see are a bunch of zombies walking around in this world being controlled by that supercomputer, versus being the empowered, badass beings that we are that get to use that supercomputer to create the lives that we are designed to be here for. My friends, we as an entire species want to begin to truly look at this and choose to do something different here. It is time to evolve past this entitlement to comfort. We are being called to do it. So here is what I want you to do with this podcast episode today. This is not an answer or an how-to guide. That's not what this podcast episode is for. This episode is a means to raise awareness. And what I want to ask you is, if this spoke to you and woke up something inside of you that's saying, yeah, I think this might be the way forward. Even though there's going to be that voice of fear there too. Even though that's going to be there. If you feel that voice saying to take that courageous step forward, that is your higher calling, my friend. Asking you to step up out of this illusion and into who you truly are. And that's where we find peace. I want to leave you with one more really powerful quote from Marianne Williamson. It takes courage to endure the sharp pains of self-discovery rather than to choose the dull pain of unconsciousness that would last the rest of our lives. I get goosebumps just reading that. It takes courage to endure the sharp pains of self-discovery rather than to choose the dull pain of unconsciousness that would last the rest of our lives. And my friends, remember that courage is feeling fear, not resisting it, feeling it, and stepping forward into it, opening your arms up and saying, "Here I am. Show me who I am behind all of this. I'm ready to take my power back." Take the step, my friends. Find a coach. Take the action and step forward. Find a coach. I would love for it to be me, but if not, find a coach who will work with you on accepting and choosing to move into your discomfort of growth. Not a coach that's in a hurry to get you out of your discomfort. If you find a coach that's like, "Oh yeah, follow my 3-step plan and we'll get you away from being uncomfortable in life," be very cautious there, my friends. I want you to find a coach that is willing to journey with you through your discomfort, not around it, not away from it as fast as possible. Journey through your authentic path, through that discomfort where you discover and uncover the badass that you are through it. I'm here to help anyone who's willing to do that. Find a coach who will guide you into your authentic path through uncovering who you are. I love you all. I love you all so much, okay? I'm going to leave this here. I wish you all the most loving and compassionate steps forward into your emotional pain, my friends. And I'm here for you every step of the way. Being human is such a powerful experience. And I'm here with you as you journey through it. So until next week when we meet here again, ciao. Hey, thank you for listening in this week. I hope you enjoyed the content of this episode. If you did, please subscribe or follow this podcast to receive the newest episodes every week as I bring them to you here on the Connect Your Health to Life coaching channel. Ratings, reviews, and comments are always appreciated. These allow me to know more of what my listeners would like in the podcast and allow for more people who may be searching for a podcast just like this one to find the Connect Your Health to Life coaching channel. If you would like more information about me and the work that I do with my clients one-on-one, then please visit my website at www.slch.ch. Again, that is www.slch.ch. You can also find me on social media on Instagram at SethLusk_coaching. Again, that is SethLusk_coaching. And on Facebook in my free Facebook group community called A Healthy Life Connection. We would love to have you in the group, and it's only 3 membership questions that you have to answer to join. And again, it's entirely free. And if you need any further information or just want to say hello, feel free to send me an email directly at slusk.health@slch.ch. Again, that is slusk.health@slch.ch. Thank you again so much for listening, and I look forward to our next time together. Ciao.